Welcome to the 1990 series. My name is Amanda O'Shea, the Loving Life Coach from the Serendipity Experience. And I have with me today Anne Curtis from The Secret of Everything. I can see that written on your little pop-up there. And how lovely to have you here as part of the 1990 series. Thank you for being a guest on this project.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Well, our paths first crossed, within the sort of Three Principles community, and I saw your name popping up, and there were a couple of projects that you were doing, and then I've met you at Viva, the Viva event, and it's funny how we just suddenly kind of, I don't know, names come into our awareness, and then of course you are here today but just up the road from me in Teolata.
Yep, just up the road. Could be with you.
Yeah, in Costa Blanca, but you spent a lot of time in Jersey, right? That's where you.
Yeah, that's where I'm based, in Jersey.
Yeah. So you're on a sabbatical, or you're on a kind of.
I just go wherever I'm taken. Really, I thought I was going to spend some time in Portugal this winter. I wasn't even intending to go to Viva, but when I got to Portugal, I just had this. This feeling that I had to get out of there and I had to come over here. So here I am.
Wow. And so you really are a woman who follows your heart and and I love that when we follow our heart, or when we don't resist the nudges sort of the energy, when we just go with the flow, it just, we end up where we're meant to be. And look at that wonderful backdrop there.
I'm very lucky. It's my friend's holiday apartment, and she said, "Oh, why don't you go and stay in my?" She's in Jersey, going, "It's raining here." I'm like, "Why don't you come here? It's very nice."
Is that the sea? You've got the sea and the mountains behind you, and wow, oh, that's amazing. Good for you. So I love the title that you've given to today's talk, which is Great Sex and True Love. Now, who wouldn't love that?
That's right. But it's interesting because one of the things that really impressed me the most when I first found out about the Three Principles understanding was what great relationships people had. And since I had originally I'm a doctor, a medical doctor, but I trained I knew that wasn't the answer to everything, I was like, no, there's far more to it than this. And eventually I got into psychosexual medicine. So I trained as a sexual and relationship therapist as a doctor. And then even that wasn't really giving me the answers I wanted. In fact, as I finished my training, my husband left me, which was like, hang on a minute.
You can't make it up, can you?
No. So then I did a couple of years of conventional psychotherapy training, and I was like, no, this isn't the answer either. This is not getting me there either. And then I did NLP and EFT and everything else that I could find, and was trying my best to help my patients, my clients that were coming for general, in medicine and in therapy. And eventually I gave up because I just felt like a fraud, because although I was helping some people quite a lot, I couldn't understand why some people would get better and some people wouldn't. And some people would have amazing insights in no time at all. And other people would be struggling week after week. And I was doing the same things with them. So I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. And I was getting burned out anyway. And as I say, I felt like a fraud because I thought, well, I really don't know what I'm doing here. And I don't know what's working, what isn't, or why. So I packed it all in. And that was 2009. And it wasn't until, and I'd pretty much given up looking for the answer, really, particularly because around 2013-ish, 14, I can't remember when it was exactly, I was nursing my mother through cancer, so I wasn't thinking about anything else at that time. And that's when I found out about the principles. When I first started looking into it, having come across it, when I first started looking into it, the thing that impressed me the most was the people who are in this conversation and in this understanding have wonderful relationships. And even when they break up, they do it in a really nice way. You know, they do it in an understanding way. And it's not that everybody stays together all the time, but there are so many people who were on the verge of divorce and having a terrible time in their relationships and then got back together. So that's sort of how it started. And I've had this idea in my mind about, well, you know, something about relationships, but lots of people are doing relationship work in the principles, so that's fine. But I noticed that no one was doing anything about sex. And funnily enough, when we were at Viva this last time, Linda Pettit made some comments about it, and I was like, Linda, that's what I wanted when I was doing the Secret of Everything live project for young people. I knew young people want to know about sex. Could I get anybody to talk about it? You know, in the 3 principles, I did actually. That's not quite true, because Christine Heath talked about it. So we did one interview with Christine Heath about it. And I did get John L. Mockadam to talk about it. Poor John. I really dropped him in it. He had volunteered to talk about how to mend a broken heart. And I dropped it. And I just in the middle of the interview, I asked him about sex, and he was like, oh. You know, but then he did, and he was very good. But that's as far as we got. And Linda didn't come on to the Secret of Everything. She thought, oh, it's for young people. I don't really work with young people very much, so I'll let Bill do it, which he did. And then at Viva, I said to her, but Linda, that's what I wanted you to talk about. And she's like, oh, well, if you told me that, I'd have done it. so that's what made me think, well, okay, maybe this is the time to get on and do that. And so what I'm doing at the moment is planning a summit to put together, to get people in the 3 principles to talk about what sex is really about, how you can enjoy sex. Even I know from my own experience in psychosexual medicine that so many people were convinced they had a physical cause, you know, that they were having pain, that they were not able to have sex, they weren't able to enjoy it, they weren't able to physically do it, you know. So, and they all were convinced, and it was my experience that at least 99% of them didn't actually have a physical cause at all, you know, that there was an underlying emotional, psychological cause. So this understanding makes much more sense of that, I think.
Yeah, that's so incredible. It's incredible, isn't it? Because even like just I said to you before we came on the call, I wonder how many views this 1990 is going to get, because there's something about whether we're in our 40s, 50s, 60s, or whether we're, you know, 15 or 16, the word sex or great sex, it catches our attention. Yeah. It's like that giggly kind of, you know, oh, what are they talking about? And there is something about, I think, the more we understand how we really work, the more that we understand where our experience of life comes from, the more we understand that we are part of nature and we are part of that creative systems and design and the reproductive system, you know, that was designed for us to be attracted to other people and therefore go and procreate, you know, recreate and blah 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 blah. It's like it's part of the system, and we must have you know, we have so much thinking about relationships, about sex, about attraction, about what we're allowed to do, what we're not allowed to do. We also have a lot of fear about what everybody will think about us, about the rules of the lands, the rules of the laws of the country, and who we can have sex with, what's right, what's wrong, the age gap difference, the this, the that. You know, there's something we've really missed. Right, that's how I see it in society. That, you know, and we look at the animal kingdom, for example. Or I look at, you know, I've got 2 dogs, and we look at the way animals or dogs kind of, and we have a lot of thinking. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of thinking about sex, and we have a lot of a lot of chat about the difference, I think, between sex and making love, and you know, there's a huge, it's a huge area, and I'm just about to sort of start working with the teenagers with the iHeart program. So I mean, that is a subject where it really all starts, isn't it? At that, you know, there's a huge subject there, right? Where, you know, the
Yeah.
right time, or the right person, or the this or the that, but it doesn't change. Our thinking might differ, it might alter, but it doesn't change no matter how old we are. And in the world of recovery, I work with sex addicts a lot, right? So I see something being beautiful and being healthy, like from one extreme to the other. There's like a reservation about it. There's, like you say, a lot of thinking about it. There's enjoying it to its full. There's to actually seeing people who are addicted to sex in an unhealthy way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I mean, I always used to think, like, I've always thought that I've had quite a healthy sort of attitude to sex, but I've also always thought, oh, like, oh, that must be the best addiction to have, you know. But it's that you don't understand sex addiction when you just think, oh, that means you just have lots of great sex. You know, that's not true. You see everything from one end of the scale to the other. So a fascinating subject, and I'd love, you know, I want to hear more about it, and I'm just about in 2020 to launch a within three, well, not within the three principal community, but it's going to start within that community, because that's the community that I've been part of for the last 7 or 8 years now, and I feel very safe within that community, if that's a word to describe it. But yeah, I'm also launching something which is directed at single people, and it's you know, sort of we can't believe you're single, and it's going to be a really interesting group. It's kind of like group dating, and with discussions like this. So we'll have to hook up and see where we can do something with that together. But I'm really interested to know two things that you talked about: the medicine, like as you talked about it, as you call it, psychosexual medicine. What did you?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, that all stuff. I had never heard of it either. But when I was doing GP training, which I never intended to be a GP either. But when I thought, oh, I'll just do some GP training because I don't know. Anyway, and while I was doing that, they sent me to do family planning training, which I thought was going to be really boring, but actually it wasn't, because it was about people's lives and what they wanted and how they wanted to live them, and this lady came along to talk to us about psychosexual medicine. I'd never heard of it, but what happened was that doctors who were GPs and family planning doctors were finding that when they were doing intimate examinations on both men and women, that the people would start to tell them about their sexual problems, and the doctors hadn't got a clue what to do, because we had absolutely no training in that whatsoever. So so they had set up this training for doctors for how to deal with sexual problems when people brought them up like that. But it was, and as I say, it worked brilliantly sometimes, and then other times it didn't seem to do anything at all. And it was based on conventional psychotherapy, so conventional Freudian based psychotherapy, and I think this understanding could really help with that, with them understanding more about. And I don't know, I haven't stayed in that community for a long time now, so I don't know which way they've gone, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting to see. Yeah.
And so this title, Great Sex and True Love, is there, like, you know, is there something you want to talk to about? Did you just put those two together to get attention? Did it bring the numbers in?
Yeah, I think because I think it's about not just about human experience and thinking, but understanding who and what we truly are, which is true love, right? And, or at least that's one word for it, and people don't understand what true love is either, and that you can't, I don't think that you can talk about one without the other. So it'd be interesting to see, but so no, it wasn't just about that. I originally I just put great sex, and then I thought, well, there's more to it than that, and is about it is about the spiritual understanding, and there's which is the real basis for it, and that may not be that might put people off to start with. Some people might think, oh, I'm not interested in spiritual, you know, but it's about who and what we truly are, and that can make a huge difference to the whole of the rest of your life, not just to understanding sex and so on. But what's also interested me is, since I started talking about it, I've had several people who have a great understanding of the three principles, and who had completely couldn't see it when it came to sex. It's like, yeah, but what about this, and what about this? So yeah, so I think it's a really good subject, number one, to get people who have never heard of this understanding into, because as you said, lots of people are interested in the topic. So to get people finding out more about the understanding of who and what we really are, and also even helping people who already understand who we are but forget sometimes. So
Yeah. So, and how can you, when you came across this, or this came across, this landed in, with you, how
yeah
did that happen, coming from the
well,
doctor?
it's very similar to the last, except a lot quicker. So last year when I was at Viva, Jack Pransky and had said to me, well, look, if there's anything we can do to help you with getting, because they knew I was doing the three principles resources library and so on, they said, if there's any way we can help you to get this understanding out to more people, just let us know. Right? So I had that in my mind, and all the time I was doing what I was doing, enjoying myself, and then these little voices would say, you should be doing something, you should be doing, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing what I should be doing. It'll come when it comes. And eventually in March of last year, I suddenly woke up one morning, and I just knew I was doing this project of interviewing up to 100 three principles speakers for young people over 3 months. So I did 3 months non-stop every day, apart from Sundays, interviewing 2 or 3 people a day. And I would never have thought of that. I would never have, and if I had thought, oh, well, I must do this, it would have been exhausting and it wouldn't have been fun. And yet it was. And in this just seemed to, when Linda was talking about, I'd already had in my mind, as I said, I'd already had in my mind some ideas about doing it, but nothing had crystallized, I guess. And then when Linda said something about it, it made more sense. And again, I just woke up one day and thought, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So
that's very similar to what happened to me, really, then, isn't it? Because it was one evening, it popped into my head.
Yeah.
Why don't you do a 1990? And there was this urge inside me that said, right, do it now. Invite like 25 people now, because you'll talk yourself out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really funny. And I was doing really well. And like, I've been away for a couple of weekends. I've just been in Ireland, and I've had Viva, and had another retreat. I got a bit behind, so I'm on schedule now, but now I'm like 2 or 3 a day, in the last run up. But I know I'll do it, because if I have to stay up all night talking to people, I'll do it. But I don't, because they're all kind of booked in. But it's funny how where these ideas come from.
And it's a different feeling altogether than I should do that, or I have to do that, or like you said, you'll catch up and do it all because you've got the urge to do it, not because, oh, I've got to do that. It's so much easier when you just follow that urge rather than what you think you should do. That's what I found anyway.
Yeah. So coming with your doctor background, and coming with your sort of experience in psychosexual medicine, and coming with your understanding of the principles, and coming with the understanding that we're only ever feeling our thinking, and seeing that in the relationships that we're in, then we get to see that we're feeling our own thinking. We're not even actually feeling directly another person. So if we're talking about sex and love and all of those things, that's the same there. It can't be any different. It can't be any different that we're feeling our own thinking about what we're doing and what we believe we're in.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it feels real, yeah, it feels real, because that's incredible, isn't it? That some two different people, two different people can have such different experiences of being in a relationship
Mm-hmm.
with the same person. So you end a relationship and people really, I don't know, you've not had a very pleasant experience, and then you enter a new relationship and it's all beautiful, and you're the same.
And
You're the same in a way. So you haven't changed as a person yet. When we have when we're going where the energy wants to go, when we're in flow of that, there's a lightness to us. There's a real lightness to us, which somehow, I don't know, just has this freeing effect on being present in the moment. And I'm guessing that anytime you're talking about anything to do with great sex is being present in the moment.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's even more than that. I think um, it's experiencing it. Yeah, it's experiencing who and what you truly are, which is, yeah, it's impossible to describe in words. It really is an experience, and it's when you have an experience of who and what you are, that you're not the human body and the human mind, that you're far more than that. And in fact, we're not even separate. We are the same. So you, it sounds weird because you're having sex with yourself. But it is, and to some extent that's true, because you're just experiencing the, without all the getting involved in all the thought and the thinking, you're just experiencing love at a much, not at a human, what we think about as love in the human, conditional love, and love means this and love means that. It's not that. It's just love. Just, yeah, can't even describe it in words. But
I do agree. It's like making love to ourselves and making love to the whole world, all at the same time, really, if we're looking at it from that oneness point of view. And that sounds nuts. It sounds nuts because there's so much, unfortunately, we've also had a lot of fear around the word, and we know about so much abuse, and there's been lots of so there always hasn't been such a positive vibe, if you like. We see the world of, I don't know, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and we see the world of sex is such a huge subject that can, from a very beautiful place to a very sordid kind of place. So we see it at all levels of consciousness playing out, right? So we see it at that, and I think that term making love is what makes sex so different to being in that throes of love to that. So it is such an interesting subject.
And it is interesting to see that whatever's happened in the past, whatever experiences people have had in the past, that doesn't stop you from experiencing that in a very short time. Actually, it can be in a very short time, and people find that difficult to believe, and especially if they've been in therapy, and the sort of therapy I used to do, it sometimes seemed like, oh, I have to do all this work and I have to work on it. And you don't have to work on anything. It's just understanding who you are and what you are, and where this human experience is coming from.
So, and so do you see, Anne, that given an understanding that you have, that we have, that we're promoting, that we're not promoting, we're sharing, because we've seen it to be so true for ourselves, do you see the truth in even people that have had traumatic sexual experiences in the past, having this understanding gives them freedom?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that.
Yeah. because I really see that. I really see that to be true. And working in the world of addiction, seeing where some very sad, traumatic stories, which would touch anybody's heart, you know, even those worst case scenarios do not have the power to
No,
make somebody suffer today when they understand how that all works. And that's incredible.
it is. And the other thing that's a big thing for me at the moment is, which might seem completely off this subject, but it isn't, is global warming and what we can do about that. And you think, well, what on earth sex and love got to do with that? But actually, it's all about understanding who. Once we understand and we experience who and what we truly are, we can make a huge difference to all sorts of things in the world. And because we find we realize our own creativity, we realize that we do have power, that we're not, you know, victims, and that we can do something. So I even think that this is a way into helping people to feel better about what's going on in the world, because it's, you know, not good at the moment. And or it seems not good, and there are things that we can do, and actually to give to allow people to experience their power and their creativity and what is possible in all areas of life, not just in
No, absolutely. It's like waking up our passion. So there's something happens. I was speaking to Lauren Staten about sustainability on the last call, and and talking about, you know, how being aware. We were talking about organic clothing, and we were talking about sort of fair trade, and once we awaken up the senses, once we come back in, once we're hanging out at, I don't know, a higher level of consciousness, we're just more aware. And that's the same with every subject. And I've got Amy Chen Mills coming on to talk about, and we're going to talk about climate change.
Great.
Yeah, because there's something about, it's just general awareness, and it all, one subject flows into another.
Yeah.
And when we're in that space, you know, we can't, when we're in that space, it just makes things make sense, for the love of each other, for the love of the planet, for the love of nature. It's like wake up, you know, all of us, myself included, all the more. Keep waking up to the beauty that is inside each and every one of us and in the planet when it's in its natural state. So good stuff, Anne. I look forward to, I'm going to see you this week, but I look forward to hearing more about, yeah, what you're up to and where you're going with this. And I wish you and everybody who's listening great sex and true love in abundance.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much for sharing that, and that wonderful topic. And I hope we get lots of views.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you, my lovely. Thank you, everyone, for listening. See you soon.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye-bye.